You already know what it is. We're back with another podcast episode. Today, so I'm gonna jump into the intro, give you guys a little channel update. So the podcast now has an official Instagram page. That'll be linked down below in the description. Well, it's not linked yet, but like near the end, it'll be linked down below in the description. It's a DCS podcast. It's also in the community tab, so you can also find it there. Anything else we need to talk about? I think it's just the IG page, really. Yeah, it's just the IG page. Make sure you
follow that.
Make sure you follow that. You know what it is.
That's the second thing. That's the second thing you're forgetting.
Yeah. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado, we'll jump right into the interview. So I'm here with
Victor.
Wait, your name is actually Victor?
It's actually Victor, yeah.
Oh, really?
We're both Victor. Well, yeah, Vesh is like what I go with, actually. My bandmate, Victor, he and I, we met in high school, last year of high school. So then in basketball, we couldn't both be.
Damn, this guy's already jumping ahead of the script.
Sorry, yeah, no, I just but
I was gonna ask you who you are first.
Okay, got you. Well, I just wanted full disclosure. Victor couldn't come.
Yeah.
He got sick and he let us know and so. But we'll act like he's here. I'll represent.
He's here in spirit.
I'll represent him. Yeah. So yeah. But yeah, no, we met quite a while ago. So I think I can speak for him in some areas, but not in everything. Yeah. I'll try not to say too much that might get him mad or something.
Yeah. So so tell people who are you and what you do and give us the summary of who Victor is.
Okay. So I love making music. So producing, composing, engineering, anything related to music, I just love doing. So I was born in Mexico and then I came here with my family when I was really young. I was 2, and then we've been moving back and forth. But I started piano back when I was 4 in Mexico. It wasn't until I was 12 that both piano and guitar, which were the instruments I learned, it wasn't until I was 12 that I actually liked it. So after I stopped taking classes at 12 was when I actually started taking it seriously, which is pretty interesting. So once I took it seriously, by 13 I was like, oh shit, I can play pretty well if I put my mind to it.
Right.
And then for the next 4 years I actually got good. And then we came back here after some time when I was 16 for my last year of high school. And then that's when I met Victor. And we did high school jazz band together and basketball. Okay. And then jazz band was when I actually noticed, okay, I can actually be a part of something big.
So you guys met in high school?
We met in high school, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it through basketball or just you met in band?
No, actually we met in English class first.
Oh, okay.
So our teacher, she was taking list, and then he was sitting on the other side. For some reason our setup was like a square or like a rectangle, like that's the way the desks were set up. Mm-hmm. So he was sitting on the other side of the rectangle, and I was saying like this. So he said Victor, and I was like, oh damn, he's probably gonna notice when I say Victor too. Yeah. And then I say it, he's just like, hey.
Okay, I can totally picture that in my head.
Pretty much, that you know him. So that's when I knew, okay, we're probably gonna get along well. Right away.
Same name, yeah.
Same name, and then I noticed that same class that he had bongos or something. Bongos. And then I was like, oh, wait a second. And he was talking to somebody about music class, and I was like, oh, damn, okay, so he also does music. Yeah. And then in lunch or something, we actually met at the basketball court, and I was like, you play basketball too?
Oh, shit.
Everything we did was the same thing. So
you guys just clicked right off the bat.
We just clicked right away, yeah.
Yeah, it was just a perfect match. Wow.
Yeah.
And then when you knew years later, you guys were going to start a band, the Victors.
Well, actually, not even years later. It was interesting. Oh, that same year.
You started the band that same year? Oh, stop. That's crazy.
Yeah. So basically, what happened, I'm not sure if I'm going to have a script, but...
No, go ahead. Do your thing, man. Do your thing. It's actually making my job easier for me. You know, tell me the story. Yeah.
Well, basically, talent show comes around.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, we can make something. Because the week before it was it was an off week, no school.
Yeah.
And we decided we're not just going to play a song, we're going to actually compose something from scratch. And since we had the whole band, the whole jazz band, that we played with, we were like, what if we just ask some of the guys in the band if they want to play? And we did, and some of them were like, okay, let's do it. So we had an 8-piece band for the talent show. We had 3 horn players, trombone, trumpet, and saxophone. Drums, Victor, right? Me, piano. Lance, great guitarist, so he was guitar, and we had a bassist as well,
Right.
Anna. And then I think and Nosa, amazing singer. So we had an 8-piece band, which we've never been able to replicate since then. So our first performance was like with the biggest band we've ever had.
Wow, like a whole orchestra.
The whole orchestra, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so we made our first song, which is called It Ain't Easy, which the funny thing about that one is that we haven't even released it. You know, it's like the first thing we did, but we haven't, like, we've released other stuff, but we've always said we're gonna release
You
it.
still have it on file.
We still have it on file.
Will you ever release it ever? Or?
Hopefully.
Why haven't you guys released it? Just one of those things? You just...
It's one of those tougher songs to record that we're like, we've made so many versions of it. We've made like a piano acoustic version. Actually, that one we have released.
Oh, okay.
Just piano.
But you haven't released like the
actual one.
Yeah. Okay.
So that one's still in the works. So yeah, we did that talent show and we were like, okay, we were actually we called ourselves the Legit Stage Band at first. That was our the Legit Stage Band.
So this band started like high school. Like,
Yeah.
How many years ago was this?
7 years ago.
Wow. So this started 7 years ago.
Yeah, almost 7 years ago. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And so basically, you guys performed at the talent show, and then how did you guys like? Were like a big band in the beginning, and then it became
Yes.
two?
Well, basically, like we just kept working, us two.
Okay.
And then from there, uni came around, so we got busy.
You got busy, right?
And
Okay,
then
makes sense, yeah.
we didn't start writing until 2019 again. And then that's when we started taking a little.
Was it during the lockdown when you guys got sheltered in and were
Yes.
like, oh snap, like kind of rediscovered the passion for it again? Is that
Yeah, I would say so. That was when we actually had more time to come together, get together.
right?
But we couldn't do shows, right?
Yeah.
So it was tough because we had music, but the nice thing about having shows is that you can actually like gauge the audience, actually see what they like. You know, and now that we do have shows, we actually know, okay, this is a song we gotta record because this is the one we like, the audience likes. You know, because usually we don't have songs recorded that we're already playing live. We have 3 songs out on Spotify,
Right.
but we have a whole bunch of other songs that we play live. So yeah, that's how like we kind of know, okay, this song really resonates with people, and we didn't have that back then, so it was tougher because of that.
It was tougher to like get like captivate an audience.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. We didn't really know like what would really get people hooked on our sound, right? Like that's why we haven't really found our sound until we started doing live shows again in 2022, just this year.
Okay, that makes sense. Because I noticed, let's backtrack a little bit.
Yeah.
Before we get into like the 2020 stuff, how did you guys come to the conclusion of like the name Victors? Was it just like eventually like, was it like you guys were like thinking about it like, oh, we have the same name, like why don't we just name it the Victors? Or like how did that come about?
It was funny because I think it was just us being like, okay, well, we need a draft name.
Right.
So we were like, all right, let's go with the easy thing. And the Victors Squared was the other one.
Victors Squared,
Some
okay.
people said Victorious. I was like, no, I mean, that already exists. Let's
Victorious.
not do that. There's no way I want any association with the Colioni.
You know what you guys should do? You guys should low-key do like a little like, I don't know, we got Victor the
Like a
vocalist, you're probably
parody?
singing the theme song and then you have the guitar.
I'll be like the Matt guy, or what's his name, like I can't remember, the glasses guy.
The glasses.
Yeah, I'll get my glasses and he'll be Victoria Justice.
Is it
Justin?
is her name Justin?
No, wait, was it Justin?
I can't remember. I just saw clips of the show.
Right.
Yeah, I just seen the theme song and they're just doing their thing.
It was a cringe show. I'm sorry if people like it, but honestly, I can't say it. I watched it because of Ariana. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest. That's the only reason. But yeah, no, I don't like the show at all. So I don't want us to associate ourselves with that or Dan Schneider. We all know that you don't
So
want.
we're not going to see a remix of the theme song.
I don't think so, man. You're just gonna have to imagine that one.
Yeah.
Damn.
Who knows? Maybe one day we'll.
Hey, maybe people can comment. We'll see.
Let me know down in the comments if you want to see Victor and Victor do a theme song of Victoria's, a little remix type deal. You know. What I'm saying?
Okay, I don't know how many comments you get, but if let's say 5 people say it,
If 5 people do it, they'll do it.
we'll do it. We'll actually do it. 5 people say it, we'll do it. Sounds good. Okay, deal.
Alright.
Yeah.
Also, when it comes to, so we talked about you guys got the name.
Yeah.
Then so we also got into like the COVID stuff. Like you guys kind of rediscovered the passion for it during COVID.
Yes.
And then once now we fast forward back into the reopening. Is that when you guys would start discussing live shows and all that good stuff?
Yeah, because we work with another amazing singer, Lisa,
Okay.
and she started getting shows. She got one show back in February. Actually, it was both of us. We opened for her in that show. We opened for her, if I remember correctly. And then after that, we just started getting more shows, especially with her. Like we would like do like either we're headlining and then she would open for us, or the other way around.
Right.
And then it was just good because we kind of like a lot of her songs in many ways like need like the kind of drums that Victor plays.
Mhm.
And then most of the songs that she has released, I produced for her. So it just made sense that we all work together kind of thing. So that's how we started this year. And then, yeah, that's how we're going to end it, actually. We're going to end it with a show with Lisa in December, like a Christmas
really?
show. Yeah.
Stay tuned for that. They're gonna have a
Yeah.
show pretty soon. I'll definitely
Yes.
pull up to that. Like,
Perfect, yeah.
it's crazy when I first discovered like, well, like I kind of like I didn't know. Well, did I know? I mean, like, how do I say it? It's gonna sound kind of confusing, even to myself.
Well, you knew Victor, right?
I knew Victor,
Yes.
and like, you know, on social media, I'm not really focused on like I scroll through stories, and I knew Victor was into singing and all that, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't know like he was in like a band and all that.
Right.
But then when I saw you at Suave show, shout out Suave by the way. When I saw you at Suave show, and then I saw you playing, like as soon as I walked in, I seen you playing guitar. I was like, dang, this guy's pretty good. This guy's pretty good. And then after I was like, yo, I gotta low key ask this guy if he wants to be on the podcast.
Right.
Like as soon as I seen you playing the guitar and I heard it, I was like, yo, like this guy's really talented. That's pretty cool. Cause like I always wanted to bring on people on the podcast that are just like different. Like I want to just show people, you know, like different, I guess. How do you say it?
Yeah, different kind of
Avenues.
that
Yeah.
we said the same word. Yeah, because ultimately, like that's the whole thing with the podcast. What do you specialize in, like for your podcast? What's like your vision for the podcast?
This is the first time I've actually talked about that. Like these guys,
really?
I low-key just kind of started, and nobody knew what like my, I guess, niche or like what exactly.
Yes, yeah.
The point of it. To be honest, I kind of came to the conclusion that with this podcast, my goal really is to just, I want this podcast to be something where people can watch and they can learn something new. And at the same time, we can have fun, we can have laughs, but at the end of it, I want people to kind of take something away from it and be like, oh, cool, I learned something about guitars today, or maybe I learned something about designing shoes today, or I learned more about fitness today. Oh, I learned something about this, I didn't know that. Oh, snap. But it was a good time. I had laughs, these guys had some good energy, just giving a good vibe. And,
100%. Dude, that's exactly how I feel about any kind of like entertainment I watch nowadays. I feel like I wasted way too much time of my life just watching random YouTube videos or whatever.
Yeah.
Right now, the things I'm watching, I always kind of have that in mind. Like, am I actually learning something even if I'm like enjoying it, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, a show that I'm loving right now, I know this is not related to music, but right now I told you before that I'm doing marketing and sales right now for my job. So, a show I was like interested in, I was like, Mad Men. I'm not sure if you've heard of it.
I've heard
with
of it.
What's his name? John Hamm. Basically, it's just a show about marketing, and like in the '60s, how they kind of like marketed it in a marketing agency for companies. I don't know. I just found it interesting, and it's a fun show. So I was like, well, now that I'm doing this, I might as well watch the show, and I'm actually enjoying it. So I think you're right. It's like you want to make sure that people kind of like have that entertainment value, but still have interesting people on board.
People,
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah, my main goal is just trying to mix that like entertainment, humor with the educational like value.
Yeah.
And like bring it together. That's kind of.
Well, in that case, dude, find people here at the U of A. Maybe there's like somebody doing something cool. Like you never know, because that way you can actually like kind of get some. Because so if you were down to make like your podcast more niche down, what's like something that you like a lot to talk about? Is there anything that you like just enjoy that you'd be like, oh, this
specific thing?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really into like fitness. You know what I mean? But
Because I'm trying to think like, I guess most podcasts are pretty general.
Pretty general, yeah. Like
yeah.
That's kind of like my goal. Like I didn't want to like. Who knows? Maybe one day, you never know. Like, cause like my content like a year ago was not the same as now. So I could always change and rebrand and everything. But for right now, I kind of want to just make it like general, like, yeah.
As long as it's genuine, that's mainly it. So entertainment and education.
And education. Yeah.
Hey, that's good enough. Honestly, I mean, look at Joe Rogan. That's all.
That's kind of how I took
does
inspiration. I took inspiration from Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
A lot of Joe Rogan was kind of the main. Joe Rogan and $1 Million. I don't know if you know $1 Million Worth of Game.
No.
Those guys. That's kind of the inspirations that I kind of took.
Okay, I'll look them up. What do they do?
They do podcasts, but they're more like they interview a lot of like rappers and
Okay.
stuff, and a lot of like they interview a lot of different people.
Okay.
But they're kind of like, it's hard to explain. You got to watch the show, but it's
Okay.
funny and it's educational at the same time.
They're more like the entertainer kind of space.
Yeah, they're entertaining, but they also give value though. I mean, they also. Like,
No, I mean like the niche, like entertainer as in like musicians. And
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Hey, well, you don't have to niche down yet, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. But yeah, we'll see where it goes. But anyway, back to you. This
Yes.
is your episode. This is your.
It's a podcast. I can go back and forth with you.
But yeah, so where do we live? We talked about the live show,
Yes.
the live shows and all that.
Now we're about to have a show, and now, yeah.
Okay.
basically.
So with that, so like with these live shows, is it hard like preparing for them? Like how do you guys like?
Usually it depends really. Like for a lot of our shows, we already have everything down, so we don't really even have to practice. Sometimes it's funny. Like sometimes we'll just meet 1 hour before the show, and we have 5 songs that we haven't prepared, and we just practice in the moment. Like sometimes we don't even practice them. I shouldn't say this because it might look like we're not like professionals and stuff. But no, it's like honestly a lot of the things we do, it's just the feel of it, you know. And I've realized that different to like a lot of other artists I work with, sometimes we prepare a lot, and that's fine. Like I'm cool with preparing a lot, or with not preparing at all. You know, sometimes with Victor, for example, we just get on stage and we're ready to go. Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much it. Unless we bring more musicians on, which sometimes we do, we usually meet for 1 hour, like on a separate day, just to make sure that they kind of get a feeling of what we do.
Right.
But yeah, now we have some like very good musicians, like bassist Meso, if you're watching, amazing. Josh as well, and just a lot of guys that now we have like contact with, that now we can just call up and be like, hey, you guys want to do the show? Mm-hmm. So it's pretty good. I like the fact that we're like 2 guys that we can kind of like call up more people, and we've kind of, this year has worked for networking and stuff, to just meet a lot of people and then call them up and be like, hey, you want to be a part of the show?
And be part of the show type
Yeah.
thing. Okay. So like with that being said, like where did I take this conversation? Let's see. I'm gonna ask this. So like, how do you guys come up with songs and stuff? Like, is it like
Usually,
is it personal experience, or is it like how do you guys what's the process?
so Victor and I would give you 2 different answers, because
Okay.
Victor, he takes it in 2 angles. He goes the lyrical route first, like writing down something, and then from there making a beat and then putting them together. He's great at that. Like he just does it so seamlessly. Like basically for me, the way I do it is I first make a beat and then I ask him or somebody else if they have any lyrics, because I'm not a great lyricist. So for me, it's like I compose something, and then from there, like that's how we start fleshing it out.
Okay.
For him, it could be either route. So when we work together, usually I have something ready, produced, and then he has something in his notebook, and we just try to find a way to
That's
make it.
very interesting concept.
It's
That's
just
very interesting.
yeah, it's kind of like
He
Frankenstein.
comes up with the
sometimes.
lyrics, and you come up with the background side, and you guys kind of mesh together. Like it's kind of like you guys both have different roles.
That kind of thing. But honestly, like he makes a lot of production too. So like for him, sometimes he just he makes the whole thing. He puts the lyrics, and he's like, yo, can you add the guitar, for example, or something? Because I play the guitar and the piano and a little bit of bass.
Yeah.
So whenever he needs something, he does piano too. So but we have a different style. So whenever he needs something more in my style, he asks me for either piano or guitar. For songs that he's produced, and for songs that I've produced, I usually ask him for drums. That's kind of how it goes.
He's like the yin and yang. Like you guys kind of have both like this.
And that's the thing. It's really interesting that just between the 2 of us, like we kind of figured out all the elements that we need to perform. You know, and what we've done before is for live shows when it's just the 2 of us. Just the 2 of us. I don't know. Okay. No, actually, we've done that song.
Was that a song? Like
Well, not from us. It's Grover Washington.
oh
Yeah, that's an older.
oh
Yeah. Imagine. No, that's too perfect of a song for us to write. We're getting there.
Yeah.
We're getting there. But like for example, for live shows, it's always nice to have a bassist. It's always nice to have a drum player, and then for Victor to sing, for example,
Right.
while somebody else is playing the drums. But sometimes it's just us 2. You know, sometimes we can't get paid more than for us 2. So what we do is we take loop stations that we have, then basically with that, we just do the whole show on our own, just however we can, just like recording loops, and honestly that has worked. We gotta get more proficient at it, especially myself, because doing loops is not easy. Like actually getting them to sync up and making sure, like when we're working together, we try to make sure that we can because imagine you're doing a live show and that the whole show, the whole audio is based on like a loop that you make. You mess up that loop, now it's like going on and on, like just messed up, right?
Yeah,
so to keep the crowd engaged, there's a few guys like Mark Revier that I love that do just looping. That's their whole thing. That's their whole career.
Right.
And the way they go about it is like they are very entertaining outside of the music. So you mess up or anything, you can like use that and still go with it.
Still go with it. You kind of direct the crowd's attention
100%.
and all that good stuff.
So for me, I'm still learning how to do that because I'm more of like a kind of, I guess, studied musician, but that kind of deviated from that and then just did my own thing. And Victor is very much the kind of guy that learned from being in like that situation a lot. Like he has been in live situations a lot because he goes and plays in
He's got
church.
more experience with the live, yeah.
Yeah, so he plays every weekend at church.
Okay.
And so he just knows how to gauge a crowd very well. And so yeah, I'm not trying to tear myself down, but you know I still got work to do with the live kind of thing. I'm good at it, but I still have a lot of work to do.
Really like kind of. But I saw at the concert you were doing pretty good though. Like at the concert, bro, like literally like honestly like you were probably like the highlight of the concert. Like literally the guitar solo and everything that you had. Like it was dope. Like literally just seeing it like live, like you're actually really talented at the guitar.
Thank you, man. Yeah,
literally, that's why I was like, I had to bring these guys on because I was like, yo, this guy's like, when I started with that guitar, like as soon as I walked in, I hear some. I'm like,
well, I love that the way we actually that's so funny how we met. I was like in the middle of doing a solo, and then you guys come in.
Yeah, we come in, and you're like, and you're like, yo, what's going on?
Yeah, no, what's going on? Do we know each other? No, it was so funny. No, I loved you guys the moment I met you guys because it was just I saw the smile on your face when I was doing the solo. I was like, yes. We got a good crowd coming in. The fact that you knew Victor that whole time.
Yeah. I didn't even know like y'all knew each other. Like,
yeah.
And then that's when I put two and two together like, oh snap, the Victors.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, because you hadn't even seen the band like from Victor, so you probably hadn't seen me before. Right?
Yeah. So that was the first time seeing you.
Time.
But then again, I did like how do I talk about this? This kind of sounds weird, but like at the same time, like, I kind of like knew of you guys, but I didn't know it was you guys because a while ago, shout out to homie Paul, Laws of Power. He actually invited me to an event he was emceeing in the summertime, but I didn't end up showing up just because I had work the next day. It was an early morning shift. I couldn't make it.
5 a.m. shift or something.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Yeah.
So, but it was like, I think it was a guy named I'm not sure if it's. I can't remember the name. I think it was Jalen January. You guys.
Oh yeah, Jalen January. Yeah,
you guys did an event. Was it the summer?
Or am I thinking an event? We did a shoot for Eagozine, and he also was part of that shoot. Did we do maybe?
Were you guys part of that? I'm not sure because I saw on your account you guys did a little show.
I know what you're talking about actually.
And I'm thinking, is that the same event that Paul invited me to, or we're talking about two different things? That could
maybe.
Be wrong. I don't know.
Was it like jazz? Because it was New Standards. They put a show. Like every week, they do like
because I also seen Paul's story, and the venue looked exactly like the one in you guys' Instagram page.
Right.
So I was thinking, oh, was that the same event he invited me to, or maybe it was just you guys did that the same thing?
You might be thinking about Foundry on White. Was it like this kind of like?
I think it was. I think it was Foundry. It was Foundry.
Right.
It was Foundry.
Because did they have like the lights and stuff?
Yeah.
So it was probably a different day, because they have a lot of shows. Yeah.
Okay.
So we know Jalen. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because like I think that's. Yeah, I thought it was the same event. Okay, maybe it's my mistake. But yeah,
you saw us like somehow like.
Yeah. Through that. So I was thinking like, oh snap, that's crazy. So these are the Victors, and then I was like, yo, let me just holler at these guys. See what they're saying and all that.
Yeah, but you hadn't like actually identified that Victor, your friend, was a part of it.
Yeah, I didn't identify.
That's interesting. That means that we have reach outside of like our own, I guess, network. That's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
Like I knew of you guys, but it was like I didn't know it was you guys. It's so weird.
Yeah. No, hey, dude. Well, it worked out because now, like, afterwards, we gotta make either a podcast or something that Victor comes in here as well,
Mhm.
or I don't know, anything like a shoot or something like that for our next show. I don't know, because you do a lot of things.
Mhm.
Like this is not your only thing. You also do TikTok.
Yeah, I do a lot, bro. I do a lot.
You do a lot of stuff.
I do so much stuff. I'm like a jack of all trades,
Yeah.
to be honest. But it's hard. It's hard, but like
To keep it up, yeah.
to keep it up. But I manage. You know what I'm saying?
So how do you like what do you do to be able to organize yourself while you're working? Because that's actually something I'm gonna have to be dealing with.
Yeah, like for me, I kind of just like I was actually looking at other YouTubers on how they do it because there's a guy, he's a fitness dude. His name is Nathaniel. Messiah.
I think you
He's a
actually
British guy.
recommended me.
I did recommend you.
Yeah.
To him. But I think he's he's a fitness dude and he was he's a university student.
Okay.
And he was also a fitness influencer on YouTube, and he had to balance the two. And so, I was watching like what is his strategies on how he does it.
Right.
And I was watching a lot of videos on like how the university students study, and like I was trying to. So how I started doing it is like kind of like this kind of sound weird, but like I kind of like make like a little like. This is actually my agenda.
Oh, really?
Like I write like
You're
questions for the podcast here,
Uh-huh.
and I also write down okay what do I have to do for the day,
Right.
and stuff, and then I organize it that way.
You're old school like me. Because I don't use online software, to be honest.
Yeah, I tried that, but then
It's tough.
you're gonna end up procrastinating on TikTok, so I just put it in the book. And the thing with this too is that in the beginning, when you first start doing these planning notebook, like planning your day,
Yeah.
it doesn't always work out in the beginning because you're gonna slack off and stuff. But then over time, like I'm still not perfect at this. I'm still trying to like.
Just writing it down, man, like that. It's a really interesting feeling, like writing it down and then putting that check mark.
Yeah.
Like when you finish a task. I don't know. Like for me, I think that's my process. I've nailed it down to like actually writing my schedule down, kind of like you. That's what works for me. Yeah. And also like I've been using a lot of extensions to like take away posts from Instagram or Facebook or anything like that.
Oh, okay.
So that
like,
you're just using it as messaging app. You know what I'm saying? Like you know, if you still have people that message you through there, well, you don't want to get rid of it, right?
Mhm.
So you just have those extensions and you delete it off your phone, and then you just message people through there.
Wow.
So I only use Instagram on my phone. I actually download it and then delete it every time we make a post, kind of thing, either on my IG or on Victor's. Because it's just such a waste of time.
It's a very distracting. Like, have you ever checked your analytics on how long you
I
can?
have.
I'm like at one point I was like 7 hours, bro.
Oh.
Yeah, I was like
On
7
one
hours
app?
on Instagram. Yeah,
On one app?
on Instagram.
Just on Instagram?
Yeah.
How can you be 7 hours on Instagram? How do you do that?
I don't know, but I made a conscious decision to like reduce it. And
Right.
Now I'm 2 hours, which is not bad.
There's some apps that you can actually you don't even need the app. I think just on settings you can.
Yeah, I started doing the settings stuff.
Yeah.
Like it lets me know like okay you've exceeded your time. Then
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, okay, done for the day.
Dude, and then once you realize how much time you actually have, you're like, I have no excuses.
Yeah.
Before I would be like, oh, I don't have time. Why don't you have time?
Why?
Because you're 7 hours on IG.
Literally. So 7 hours IG plus TikTok, all
TikTok
these
is the
different
worst.
apps. Like the consumption is just insane. Like just reducing that consumption.
100%.
It's key.
And that's the thing for me. Right now, I'm going to be doing a lot of digital marketing. Like that was my last job, and it's going to be my current job. And my last job, like that was a huge problem because I would just be like doing work, but then getting caught up on IG, on just scrolling,
Mm-hmm.
because my work was there. So I hated having to do anything on IG because I noticed like, oh my, like I'm just not doing anything.
Not doing anything.
Right? Because you get hooked on it. So for this job that I have right now, I'm gonna have to be thinking more like consciously. Okay, if I'm gonna be posting or doing anything like that, I have to make sure I have this eradicator thing and just doing it through desktop, not doing it on your phone. Because on your phone, it's like the way I do it now. I put my phone in a different room. That's the way I stay away from it.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So I don't know. It's just good to. Because you're right, it's tough to be able to balance two completely different things, and then when you have work on top of that, it's impossible to have a business work and then be a student. If you also have to be looking at Instagram and all these kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's just like it's tough, but it's definitely possible. Just really about I guess discipline and finding that balance of like, okay, right now I have to work, and then okay, now I can kind of just relax and kind of like find it because you don't want to like work too hard and then you burn out, but then at the same time you don't want to be completely lazy and like be like, oh, okay, well, why didn't I achieve my goals? It's because you were on Instagram all the time.
Right.
It's kind of like finding that balance of like, okay,
But have you found that even like you tell yourself, hey, I'm just on IG because I'm tired,
yeah,
right? I'm just taking a little break.
yeah,
But then you realize like I don't even enjoy this break. You know, I'd rather just maybe take a nap, you know,
Yeah.
or watch a show I like, you know, or I don't know, or play a sport I like. I don't know. There's so many things that I feel like IG, when you're not, I feel like when you're not committed to a goal in like your life, it's almost like IG replaces all
the
like
goal.
the goal and like kind of like the suffering that we have of not working towards something. It's kind of like if you're in a job you hate, IG is kind of like the quick fix to you know that feeling of hating what you're doing, right?
Okay, so it's like a stimulation, like it's like.
Well, yeah, it's a dopamine. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that too, right? So, oh man, that's another thing. Like in the mornings when you check the phone, like the first thing.
I'm trying to cut that out. It's bad, but I'm trying to cut that out. Yeah.
It's the worst because you feel like anything else that you do, either it's not as, I don't know, it doesn't fulfill you.
And it sets the tone for your day too.
It
like
sets the tone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, if you saw something bad on like a bad bad news or whatever,
Yeah.
your whole day is awful for the rest
It's
of
awful for the rest.
it. Yeah.
It's hard, man. Like, it's easier said than done. Like, you know, trying to get like break free from the Instagram, like, because it low-key is kind of an addiction, right? Like everybody's kind of addicted to social media to an extent. It's one of those things where it's like it's gonna take some work to like break away from like that like social media.
It takes a long time.
Yeah, like it's
easy to get back.
yeah.
To get hooked again.
Because I remember there were points in my life where I was like, okay, like I'm on Instagram less, and then I don't know, it was just weird. Like I slipped back into it, and I'm just on Instagram 7 hours again. I'm like, damn it!
Yeah.
I was just over this thing, and now it's back.
100%.
Like, you know?
And the worst is when like school or work like demand that from you as well.
Yeah.
Because nowadays jobs, like I'm telling you, jobs like that's kind of what they need. They need like people on their social media. Like even if you're like I don't know, you have a job that you have a lot of hats. You're like at the end of the day, you're gonna have to do some marketing, and then that's how you get hooked on it again.
Yeah.
It's like you can't get away from it. It's like my personal life and my work life. It's like damn.
It's like they're taking over.
Yeah, it really is. So I don't know. For me, I guess I just find that I don't know. This is such an old man thing to say, but I've been getting like very much into reading books. I hated
Yeah, I actually started reading books too. Yeah.
Dude, 100%.
Since COVID, I actually started reading some books. You know, I've read what kind of books have you read?
Well, I just read like business books.
Okay.
So a lot of startup books, a lot of
Have you read Rich
entrepreneurship
Dad
books.
Poor Dad?
I know about
Kiyosaki.
Robert
Kiyosaki. Yeah.
I haven't read his book, but I'm subscribed to his channel. I love his content. But I probably should read it. Do you recommend?
Yeah, I haven't. My attention span is Instagram.
Right.
Literally, I got up to the point where I'm at chapter 10. I'm literally basically finished the book. There's like 3 chapters.
Okay.
But I was just busy with school and a bunch of other stuff. But
It talks about real estate mainly. Is that?
he mainly talks about his book is more like for like newbies about like how to like start a business, like how business works, and he breaks down like the economics of like running a business, and like it's really about how to be like an entrepreneur.
Yes.
If that makes sense. Like he talks about making money work for you, liabilities, assets, talking about the basic principles of like the framework of like a company, and like there's so many things in that book too that were very like still confusing to me to this day. Like I can't comprehend it just yet, but if I keep reading it, I'll probably will comprehend it. But like there's a lot of things in that book that it goes deep into. But yeah, I would say it's more like the gateway into like the entrepreneurship world.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So he doesn't really talk that much about real estate because I know real estate is.
Actually, no, he actually does. He does talk about. Does he talk about? He does talk about real estate, but I couldn't really comprehend it because I'm still kind of new to this knowledge. I'm still learning, but yeah. He did touch on it, but I couldn't really comprehend what exactly what he was.
Yeah, no, real estate, because I did in uni, in my degree, I did like some real estate classes, and now I'm thinking maybe I'll get my certificate.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that once you kind of like understand just the basic concept, it's a lot easier. Like at the beginning, it's really tough to wrap your head around like, okay, how do I actually like buy property and stuff like that?
Yeah.
And most people don't want to think about that because it's like, I'm never gonna have money for that. I
Yeah.
can barely pay my a mortgage, right?
Mhm.
Especially nowadays. But then you realize there's so many other ways to leverage real estate. Like I'm not sure if you've heard of REITs, REITs.
Sounds very familiar.
So those are like basically they're trusts that they have a bunch of different real estate kind of like in their portfolio, I guess.
Yeah.
And then you can actually buy part of like their diversified real estate kind of thing. So it's like very low risk for you, but you're still kind of like getting a piece of an industry that's always going up.
Yeah.
Unless we're in 2008, right? That everything just crashed down.
Yeah.
But ultimately, everybody wants land. Everybody wants, everybody needs a house.
Yeah.
So it's an industry that just like, I don't know, just like gas or energy, right? It's always going to be going up, right? So I think that's why it's important to learn, and I think that's probably the reason why I would read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's definitely a really good book to read. I got to read more other books too because like my understanding of like the whole, like I'm starting to understand like how businesses work and stuff, but there's some stuff with real estate and especially with stocks that I'm not really understanding. Like it's kind of cool when you first like, cause like I literally like my mindset was not like business oriented at all for the majority of my life. So like I'm like clean slate going into a whole, so I'm still learning and like researching like how it works and stuff like that.
Yeah, dude, at the beginning it seems like such a big hill that you're never going to be able to like,
Yeah.
it's just like, should I even learn about this? Should I learn about stuff?
Yeah.
I mean, stocks right now, for me, I would say they're pretty, not volatile, but it's not the best market situation right now. But in the long term, you're always going to, like you're betting that when you invest in stocks, or especially like in S&P 500, you're basically betting.
About that.
So basically the top 500 companies, I believe S&P is from the US, if I'm not mistaken. Financial buffs would probably, screw me over with what I'm saying right now. But yeah, like basically you're betting that the US isn't gonna completely collapse, kind of thing. So basically if you say, okay, I'm investing in stocks for the long term for when I retire, then you're probably gonna end up winning quite a bit of money. But the best form of making money is generating income, like just working.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people kind of like, they're always thinking about, oh, where can I invest my money? Where can I do this?
Yeah.
And they
The get rich quick kind of mentality.
Right.
Yeah.
They kind of don't think like, oh, how can I actually leverage my work? How can I work for, like make something that doesn't depend on how much time I put into my work and that can just make me money.
That's lucrative. Like you're not like trading time for money. That's kind of
exactly.
thing.
Yeah. I know the whole passive income thing is so like everybody's talking about it right now, but it's such a real thing. It's like
passive income, residual checks,
dude.
Cash flow.
Everybody's talking about it. That's why it's like even like it's associated with scammers now.
Yeah.
The ads that they tell you about. But it's true. Like
you want to change your life.
That's So I don't want to sound like that. But like it's good to while you're working to have like something you're working towards beside that.
Besides that, definitely like little side hustles and stuff that could potentially make you some income and all that stuff.
I mean that's how I see music to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Because I mean even if right now.
So you kind of treat it as like a business, eh?
I do. Honestly, yeah. Because I don't know. To me, it's like when you're playing for yourself or you're making music for yourself, or even like I've gifted songs to like family or like ex-girlfriends, and basically like in that case, it's like your own thing. It's like that's like music for you, right? Like you're making it just because you love it. But then when you're putting it out for other people, you also have to think, okay, what is it that people like? Oh, a little better.
Yeah.
What is it that people want to listen to? Like, of course, you want to put out things that you like make you happy, like things that you've gotten inspiration out of. But there's a certain degree of thinking like, who is my, I don't want to sound businessy, but who is my target market? Like, who am I actually making music for?
Right.
And I do definitely think of it that way to a certain extent. And I feel like Victor and I, that's kind of like, not where we differ, but definitely like an area where like he goes more for like, just go with the feel. And I'm like thinking like, but are people gonna like this,
Yeah,
but,
you're
so
more analytical. Yeah.
But the thing is, neither one of us is completely right. We're both right in the sense that you gotta go with what you want to do.
Right.
Because if you like what you're doing, chances are a lot of other people are also gonna like what you're doing.
It's crazy because it sounds like you guys have like this polarity to it. It's like you're like two sides of the same coin, and then kind of like one kind of like needs the other, and you guys kind of complement each other in ways where it's like it's interesting hearing.
Yeah, it's
about
funny you
that.
say that. Yeah, I think you're right, because in many ways we kind of see music in a different, not in a different way, but we definitely have different ways of expressing it, and different ways, different I guess specializations, right? I guess could be the word. Like he is very good at improvisation. One, like he's quick at getting things. I'm good at that, but I'm a lot better at, say, composition. Like maybe bringing an idea that he had, and then just bringing it all together and producing something out of that. So I guess, you know, we kind of like work towards being better in areas that we're not the best at. Like for example, my rhythm is nowhere near how good his rhythm is. I'm working on that. But and his theory is not as good as mine is, but he's very much working on that. So it's cool that we kind of like know what we're missing, what we're each missing. But you're right, a lot of the things we're missing, the other guy has.
Yeah, the guy has.
So
it's kind of like
So yeah. So it's nice. It's nice because in that way you don't have to be a perfect musician to go up there and play, you know, because you already have somebody that you can, you know, you can really trust, that's gonna pull all your weaknesses and then make you shine with your strengths.
Yeah. Oh, what time is it? Because I know you're on a tank.
Let's see what time is it right now. 5:15. Oh, we can go 15 minutes more, whatever you.
Okay.
What's usually like the amount of time that you allocate to one of these?
Like 30, 45 minutes. It depends on how the conversation goes.
Then you tell me.
Let's go. We'll just kind of, because we'll use the next 15 minutes. We'll just close off in these 15 minutes. But like, usually when closing, I kind of ask these the guests. I ask them like, for example, let's say there's someone watching and they want to get into like music, and they're into like playing guitar. They want to start singing. They were like, what advice would you give them if they want to start doing that stuff? Like, what would you say?
Oh man, we had this question in another podcast in the magazine that we did, and I have to say, I loved Victor's answer. He said, just do it a lot, like do it repeatedly, you know, and don't worry about the results yet. Just grab yourself the cheapest DAW you can find, the cheapest software. Just get yourself an $100 MIDI controller or whatever equipment you have. Just use that and just make stuff. Even if you just have GarageBand on your phone, just use that. Because that's literally how I started with like my first song that I ever made. It was like this kind of like spatial kind of soundtrack kind of sounding thing, and that kind of like led me to wanting to do more soundtracks, you know. So my point is like just use whatever you have, and you probably have something that can make music, like GarageBand on your phone or on your laptop, wherever. So yeah, just start basically, and don't worry about the outcome yet.
Okay,
Yeah.
Nice. That's actually a good answer. Yeah, that makes sense. Like definitely like just starting. Like I feel like a lot of people kind of like whenever they start something, they always like to whiteboard it a lot. Like they always like to be like, oh well, before I start, I gotta plan. I gotta do this. But it really, it's just about just starting. Like I feel like a lot of people do this like whiteboard like planning process as an excuse to like
100%.
not start. But really, it's just about just getting your feet wet. Just start, even if it sucks at the beginning. Just getting out there, you know.
I gotta take that advice because honestly, I'm sometimes like that. I'm the worst with that. Like, but for me, it's like not whiteboarding. It's watching other experts. I'm putting quotations I shouldn't know. Like watching experts do it on YouTube and stuff.
Yeah.
Or buying courses or whatever, like related to what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I'm just watching the videos and I'm like, oh shit, I gotta start at some point. Because I mean, you're gonna suck at the beginning. There's no question about it.
I'm kind of the opposite way. I was kind of bad at like, what's it called? I was always like, okay, let's start. Like even with this whole YouTube journey, like I was like, okay, let's just start. But I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of
100%.
But I'm just kind of getting better at just like, okay, like let me see what other content creators are doing. Let me try to improve slowly.
Yeah.
Let me try to like figure out these little nuances and stuff like that.
100%. And when I say you're gonna suck, I mean you're gonna suck compared to who you are in a year from now. Like you're gonna look back and you're gonna be like, what the hell is this? But you wouldn't be where you are if you didn't do that, if you didn't suck at the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, we look at our music from 3 years ago, we're like, damn,
That's
bad.
Imagine.
Well, everything we have on Spotify I would consider good.
Okay.
But there's songs that we've made before we started putting them on Spotify that I do consider not great. So I'll show them to you later.
Okay.
Then you'll know what I mean.
Okay. We'll see about that.
Yeah.
It can be that bad.
No, I can't. No, it's different issues. Like sometimes, since we didn't know much about mixing and mastering, we would put like so many instruments into the demo that it was just like you're listening to it on headphones and you're trying to decipher what it is that you're trying to like listen to. Like, is that bass over here? But it's so muddy and you can't really that kind of thing. Like we didn't know the basics of sound engineering. And we were good musicians, just not good at production. That was a problem. Yeah.
But now, like, you guys have probably, like, improved since then.
Yeah, because, dude, all of uni was me just, like, trying to get really good at production, and same for Victor. Like that was all of our uni, like, time off kind of thing. Like, that was all we would do. And I think that really paid dividends now that we're kind of, like, out of uni and now working. Because now, it's like, any time we spend on doing music, like we can actually do it professionally. If you don't get through that hump, like just that big obstacle that you have to get through, then you're never going to really be able to do it successfully. Like you gotta dedicate a lot of time at the beginning, I would say. Just at the same time, it really depends what you're trying to like do. Are you trying to do it professionally, or are you trying to just do it as a hobby, right? But if you're doing it as a hobby, then don't put too much pressure on yourself. Just like honestly do it for fun. Because then you're not gonna like it at all. It's not gonna be a hobby. You're gonna hate it just as much as whatever you're doing full time. So it really depends what your goal is. But yeah, our goal was always like we wanted to make something big out of it. So we decided we were gonna really focus and
dial in on it.
Yeah.
Right. Interesting. With that being said, segues into perfectly into my next question.
Yes.
Where do you guys see the Victors going in the future? Like, what is the future plans? Like, what is your dream with the Victors?
What's the dream with the Victors? Oh, that's a good question. To be honest, like this upcoming year, more shows.
More shows?
Yeah, we really want to get into new venues. We want to just like, I don't know, grow our crowd through shows. Because I think the best way we can show our music is through shows. Not even through recordings. Like the way we like to do it is we play songs that we have on Spotify or that we're gonna put on Spotify at live shows, and then people can go listen to them as well. But shows is where we really want to focus on. And honestly, doing shows like these with somebody like you, like we want to do more of these kind of shows. So let us know. And
yeah, I'm definitely gonna have you guys on again.
Dude,
I'm actually doing this thing where it's like I'm gonna bring a lot of the guests that I had last year on again.
Yes.
And starting in January, I'm gonna bring back a lot of the guys I had last year, and then I'm gonna do like a little like, okay, this is where they were last year, like where are they now type thing. You know what I mean? Like, and it's crazy because it's gonna be interesting because a lot of the guys that I've interviewed last year, like they've done like evolved and made huge
100%.
strides in their whatever their craft was, and it'll be interesting to have some of those guys back and see like, wow, like this guy was doing this, now he's doing this, or this guy's here, like now he's here.
That's why you're asking the previous question. That's why you're like, what are you going to be so you can hold us accountable like in a year from now or what?
I didn't think about it like that.
You could.
But low-key, it's good. You know what I mean? I didn't think about it like that. But
that
like,
could be your whole thing. You could be like the accountability partner for
accountability partner.
Could be the accountability podcast because that's what fitness is ultimately.
Oh yeah.
Right. It's like seeing it through.
Keeping you guys accountable.
Yeah. That could be your whole thing. Yeah.
Okay. You know what?
Think about it.
Let's give me ideas.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna be in marketing, so I'll just shoot all the ideas I have.
Pitch it to me, you know.
Yeah. Absolutely. But yeah. So basically, next year, hopefully, we're doing shows, and that's what we're gonna tell you. Doing shows and making I don't know, making it more official, I guess.
More official.
The way I want to see it. Yeah, more professional. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see. So yeah, just making it more professional. Like, do you guys like you're hoping like you're trying to make it like big, like a big like.
We know it takes time for these kind of things unless you want to sacrifice a lot of the longevity of your band. Because the thing is, like, you could go down a route of just doing whatever's popular, and that's why I was telling you you gotta have a balance between what you want to do and what you know people like. Because if not, you're just doing what people like. People like different things every year, especially nowadays. So, so you just do that and you focus on that, and it's the worst strategy, right? You gotta do something that you know is gonna make you happy till the end. And music is something that it can make you money or it might not. You know, ultimately, that's the way it is. You can't see it. The truth is, you can't see it as a business before you see it as something that you're putting out there.
So you're saying you got to see it as a, how do I say, like you gotta see it as like a passion or like a
100%.
something you love before it's a business. Is what
100%. Because why did you get into it?
Oh,
You know,
okay.
like, and that's the difference between a passion project and like a business that isn't gonna be pushed around by like emotion. And the thing about music is that it's very emotional. Like you do things based on feeling, a gut feeling. Sometimes business, you can't have that. And that's why for me, I want to have like different businesses that have to do with music, but also some that don't. Because that way you can actually say, oh, that's not a good avenue for me. I'm not going that direction. I'm going this direction because that's the direction that makes money, that makes sense.
Right.
So, and that's what business is, right?
But with your true passion, you don't want to compromise
Exactly.
your like happiness with the passion.
That's
That's actually very interesting that you say that. It's like a really like, I never thought about it that way. Like, that's actually like crazy. Like I never actually thought about it that way. Like that's wow. I might get a mind blown a little key because like because you're basically saying like you would start other businesses, right? But then with your true passion, like you're kind of like you don't want to sacrifice like destroying it.
Yes.
Because you're focused so much more on money.
100%, and you can use your other businesses or your work or whatever
To fund your real
exactly.
passion. That's actually like no, I don't think anyone's ever said it like that before. That's actually like really like wow.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
well, because imagine so many musicians get screwed over because of that simple concept.
Yeah.
Like managers telling them, "Oh, let's go this direction. It's going to make you money," but then they sacrifice what they love doing, or they do something that they didn't want to do. Maybe they didn't want to. I don't know, maybe the manager's like, oh, show a little more skin or something. Maybe they don't want to do that. Maybe they did, but maybe they did, and now they're that guy. You know, and now it's a brand that they didn't want to represent. Now it's not about their passion, it's about a brand. And that's like, maybe you don't want to brand yourself as something, you know? Because that's what a brand is. Like, you're literally saying, like this is who I am, and now this is how people are going to know me as. But what if you change, and what if your music is ever changing, you know? And that's the issue with making music a business. You got to know, like, I might be going into something that's putting my passion in danger, kind of thing, and always keeping that in mind is very important in my opinion. Honestly it's a tough place to end on, but it's very true. Like you don't want to sacrifice your passion for money all the time.
Yeah.
And that's why sometimes it's good to have other avenues that can make you money as well. Yeah.
Damn, I never thought about it. That's like some pretty deep stuff.
Yeah.
In closing, damn, that's crazy. A lot to think about.
Yeah.
But in closing, where can they find the Victors? Like just kind of promote yourself. Like, where are you guys?
Absolutely.
Located at?
So we are on IG. It's the Victors, just ITS, and then the Victors. So IG, I made our Facebook account. Nobody uses Facebook, but I made it. Right now we have 0 followers. So if you want to be the first one, I just made it last week because I wanted to see if I could make an ad account.
Yeah.
And you need a Facebook for that. So Facebook, the Victors, we're there. What else? YouTube, of course, the Victors, and
really?
Spotify.
I'll actually tag you guys.
Perfect. Yeah. And Spotify, all the other.
Yep. All that will be linked down below. 100%.
Perfect. Awesome.
All right. With that being said, make sure if you're new, you comment, like, subscribe, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, let me just.
That was good.